Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is December 27th, 2022, and we are in the New Testament, and we are reading in the book of Revelation, and we're going to read chapter 18. Okay, again, lots and lots of symbology in Revelation. Uh, you can spend your entire life trying to decipher it all. We're not doing that. We're just looking at that big, epic picture and just concentrating on a few things here and there. Uh, this section is the fall of Babylon, the great whore Babylon. Uh, lots of lots of people will tell you that it's a specific country or this person or that person or this or that. And remember, as we see Babylon all throughout the Bible, and it's almost always the symbol for that wicked earth, the wicked kingdoms, the fleshly desires, and you see that expanded in here. Greed, people who want to lie and cheat and steal to get ahead, fame above anything else. So that's what Babylon always represents. That earthly kingdom that we want to create for ourselves to worship ourselves. That's the Satan kingdom. So Babylon is Satan's kingdom, and just like we see God and Jerusalem as his kingdom, which is all about God's grace and love, Satan is that counterfeit. His kingdom is corrupt and dirty and filthy, and his is destined for the eternal fire. And he knows that. So he's lying and cheating to people to get them to follow him, and the ultimate goal is destruction. But he doesn't care because that's Satan. That's where we are in this book. We've seen John in his gospel and in his letters that he likes to not necessarily write this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. He'll say, okay, some things happened, and this is one of them, and did this and this and this and this, and this was another thing that happened, and we saw this, and here's another thing that happened, and here's another thing that happened. Okay, now we're all caught up and we're moving on. And I think that's what we're doing here, because we've had the seven seals and the trumpets, and the bowls of God's wrath poured out, and the earth was destroyed, and now he's coming back and saying, okay, and now we're going to look at some of the destruction. How did it happen? What happened when it went down? And this is the destruction of Babylon, where we see that it's a fallen kingdom. We see that God is going to destroy it. It has no future. But Satan just keeps drawing people to it, and people want to say, oh no, you have to follow that. Okay, that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is Babylon is destroyed. Now, does that say that I can't, well, hey, you know what, this is of the earth, I can't have it? Well, no, but I don't worship it. I don't lie and cheat and steal to have it. It doesn't run my life. It's a tool, well, that we can talk about God with it. So as Christians, we are in the world because we have to live here, but we're not of the world. Hey, you know what? You want to have abortions and political fights and death penalties and gay marriage, hey, that's fine. That's not what I'm about. I'm a Christian. I don't do any of that stuff. That's me personally. I don't, yeah, the world is the world, and it's doomed to failure. So goodbye, world. But I'm going to stay true to me and true to God and do what's right. That's what we're talking about in this section here. So let's go ahead and we're going to read Revelation chapter 18. After this I saw another angel coming down out of heaven. He had great authority, and his splendor brightened the whole earth. He cried out in a loud voice, "She has fallen, great Babylon has fallen. She is now haunted by demons and unclean spirits. All kinds of filthy and hateful birds live in her. For all the nations have drunk her wine, the strong wine of her immoral lust. The kings of the earth practiced sexual immorality with her, and the businessmen of the world grew rich from her unrestrained lust." Then I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out, my people, come out from her. You must not take part in her sins. You must not share in her punishment. For her sins are piled up as high as heaven, and God remembers her wicked ways. Treat her exactly as she has treated you. Pay her back double for all she has done. Fill her cup with a drink twice as strong as the drink she prepared for you. Give her as much suffering and grief as the glory and luxury she gave herself. For she keeps telling herself, 'Here I sit a queen. I am no widow. I will never know grief.' Because of this, in one day she will be struck with plagues, disease, grief, and famine, and she will be burned with fire, because the Lord God who judges her is mighty. The kings of the earth who took part in her immorality and lust will cry and weep over the city when they see the smoke from the flames that consume her. They stand a long way off because they are afraid of sharing in her suffering. They say, how terrible, how awful, this great and mighty city Babylon. In just 1 hour you have been punished. The businessmen of the earth will also cry and mourn for her because no one buys their goods any longer. No one buys their gold, silver, precious stones, and pearls. Their goods of linen, purple cloth, silk, and scarlet cloth, all kinds of rare woods, and all kinds of objects made of ivory, and of expensive wood, and of bronze, and iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and spice, and incense, myrrh, and frankincense, wine, and oil, flour, and wheat, cattle, and sheep, horses in the carriages, slaves, and even human lives. The businessmen say to her, all the good things you long to own have disappeared, and all your wealth and glamour are gone, and you will never find them again. The businessman who became rich from doing business in that city will stand a long way off, because they're afraid of sharing in her suffering. They will cry and mourn and say, how terrible, how awful for the great city. She used to dress herself in fine purple and scarlet, and cover herself with gold ornaments, precious stones, and pearls, and in 1 hour she has lost all this wealth. All the ship's captains and passengers, the sailors and all others who earn their living on the sea stood a long way off and cried out as they saw the smoke from the flames that consumed her. There never has been another city like this great city. They threw dust on their heads. They cried and mourned, saying, how terrible, how awful for the great city. She is the city where all who have ships sailing the seas become rich on her wealth, and in 1 hour she has lost everything. Be glad, heaven, because of her destruction. Be glad, God's people, and the apostles and prophets, for God has condemned her to what she did to you, for what she did to you. Then a mighty angel picked up a stone the size of a large millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, this is how the great city Babylon will be violently thrown down and will never be seen again. The music of harps and human voices of players of the flute and the trumpet will never be heard in you again. No workman in any trade will ever be found in you again, and the sound of the millstone will be heard no more. Never again will the light of a lamp be seen in you, nor more will the voices of brides and grooms be heard in you. Your businessmen were the most powerful in all the world, and with your false magic you deceived all the peoples of the world. Babylon was punished because the blood of prophets and of God's people was found in the city. Yes, the blood of all those who have been killed on earth. May God bless the reading of his word. May God bless you. Bye.